cooking with Ken. So today what we're going to be doing is foraging wild mushrooms. I did that on my Ken Johnson USA channel. You can check that video out. But I actually went in the backyard. I have 2 Chinese tallow wood trees, what we call popcorn trees here in Florida. They're a non-native invasive, very soft wood. I use a lot on this channel for smoking and things of that nature. And so I had 2 stumps, and they got wood ear mushrooms on them. So what we're going to do is I foraged the wood ear mushrooms, processed them, and we're going to now take them in their dried form and make a hot and sour soup. So stay tuned. This came from my backyard. These were wild foraged. This is where it comes out of the tree, and you cut that off. You slice them up, and you get these. All right. So I dehydrated these out. This right here is hot water, super hot water. It's not boiling, but it's hot. And I'm going to take about 1 handful, which is roughly about a half a cup, and letting these soak in hot water. The quintessential backbone of most hot and sour soups is the wood ear mushroom. You can buy these from Asian markets. This wood ear mushroom, like I said, I harvested it from my backyard. So we saving money already, but you still have to go through the process. Now I did clean these pretty well, but they still may have some stuff on them. So I've got to, and I also cut these. Ones that you get from the store will usually be whole. And then you have to soak these in hot water for 15 minutes, or you can do cold water for 2 to 3 hours. Wood ear mushrooms grow on dead trees, and therefore whenever you got dead wood, you have all kind of creepy crawlies and stuff of that nature, bacteria. So I like using the hot water method as much as possible. Then after this, we've got to take that, clean them off good, pour off the water, rinse them off in a colander, and then we'll be back, and then we have to blanch them. And for the blanching process, it takes about 2 to 3 minutes in boiling hot water to blanch them. Once we've done that, then we can start actually cooking these things. So it is a process, but this is a very crunchy mushroom. I think you'll like the finished product. If you never had hot and sour soup, this is one to definitely pay attention to. Alright, you can see right here that this is all rehydrated. Now what we're going to do is take this out. We'll take this out, rinse it off real well, pour that water out, get some fresh water in there and get it boiling, and we'll blanch them. The water's beginning to boil. Now we got some boilage. Time to add in the mushrooms. Mushrooms going in. Alright, now that they're in, it's cooled down the boiling action a little bit. We're going to let this sit for about 2 to 3 minutes. Alright, time to pour the liquid off and strain off these mushrooms and rinse them off. What we got here is 1 pound of small boneless center cut pork chops, 1 clove of garlic. We got 1 thumb, about 1.5 to 2 inches by about maybe 1 inch wide, 1.5 inch wide of ginger, and we have a small bunch of onions. This is about 5 green onions. All I need is really about 3. So what we're going to do is take roughly about a tablespoon of grated ginger, a tablespoon of grated or chopped garlic, half these onions. I'm going to cut the tails off, or yeah, the roots. I'm going to cut them in half. I'm going to chop this up, and then I'm going to use this for garnish. And I'll cut these ends off because you see where they're kind of done like that. So I'll be back, and then this right here I'm going to cut into thin slices. And so I'll be back when I got all that done. Since some people may have never seen this done before, I'm going to go ahead and show how I cut this up. So you take your hands, do like a claw, and that keeps you from cutting fingers. And then you can just move your fingers down as you need to, but you can control the food as well because you're pressing down on it. green onions do not make you cry as bad as white or yellow onions. The reason for that is that green onions do not have the sulfurous compounds that basically turn into the tear gas stuff that makes you cry. The tops are always used for garnish because they're a little tougher and have a little bit more oniony flavor. The bottoms are normally used for cooking. At least that's how I've always done it. Some people do it differently. If you want to do it differently, you can. This is thrown away. That's the oxidized pieces that I don't want. I'm going to throw this into a bowl. Now, don't let these chefs on YouTube fool you. Many of them haven't worked in a kitchen, or if they have worked in a kitchen, they're only telling you part of the story. So in a professional kitchen that is like for public cooking, you know, not just a professional's kitchen where you're going into his YouTube studio, they don't do all this. I would say 90% of the professional kitchens, they will have a slicer mounted to the wall that you pull down. You have a handle and you pull down, and it cuts the green onions for you. It is also the same tool that they use to cut the like your cilantros and all that other stuff, your any type of where you're needing juliennes, things of that nature. There's not a bunch of chefs sitting around cutting up these vegetables. I don't care what Food Network tells you. Don't believe none of the lies. They all have slicers because time is money and you need to get dishes out, and it's faster to use a tool to cut multiple bunches of onions, multiple bunches of your herbs at one time than it is to actually do it by hand. Yes, there's some people that they can do it. They're like competition chefs and TV chefs, and they have honed their skill. They can do it fast, and I give them props. They can do it. But if you're a home cook and you think I'm going so slow, and these chefs, they do so much, a lot of that is a lie. Shouldn't be, but it's a lie. I don't see any problem with them using tools. I see the problem being that they lie when they say they don't use tools. These are those bottoms that we're going to omit, and we will take this and put it off to the side, and I'll show you how I do ginger. Ginger is a very interesting, I guess you'd call it herb. It's really not it's not a herb. It's more of a spice, I guess you would say. I like to actually freeze my ginger. So all I'm doing is cutting those ends off there. And then you can take a spoon and peel ginger very easily. And that's what I'm doing here. Just peeling off my ginger with a spoon. Some people don't do that. I do it. You don't have to. Now, this is fresh ginger. I've not frozen it. I actually love to do this ahead of time, but I didn't, and freeze it. And so what you do is you just peel it like this, wrap it up in some plastic wrap, and then freeze it, and it does really well. I'm just going to take this and get about a tablespoon. The more tender it is, the easier it is to grate. The older it is, the more flavor it has, but also the more pith it has. So it's one of those trade-offs. If you want fresh ginger, if you want a strong ginger flavor, then go with the old stuff, but you're going to have to grate more of it. That's a pain. If you want just to grate a bunch of ginger and go easy and not have a lot of pith, you use a lot of young ginger. But this microplane grater gets that fiber out, and that's what I like. Again, I melt that. This right here, you could actually save it, boil it, and make either a ginger beer with it, or you make ginger tea. The ginger beer that you can make with this is phenomenal. I might do a recipe on that one day. But this right here, I actually made some for some friends that wanted to make Moscow mules. and ginger beer is a critical component to it. My ginger beer was so good that they quit making the Moscow Mules and was just drinking ginger beer. Okay, now we're cutting our... It's better if the pork would have been frozen, and I had forgot to freeze this ahead of time. So I'm just cutting little 1/4 inch slices. You don't want it cut, you don't want it frozen all the way through, but you want it to be about 1/4 inch and mostly frozen. And then you have a longer knife than this pair knife, and you can make really good cuts. But I'm gonna finish this up and I'll be right back. All right, what I forgot to talk about was the garlic. We're just gonna smash that, get it peeled, chop it real quick. All the garlic and pork are gonna be cooked together, so I'm not really concerned about cross-contamination. I did make sure my hands were really clean before and after I handled that pork. Of course, I cleaned them before I handled vegetables too, but cleanliness is the main thing. You've got to keep your hands clean all the time. That's something that chefs do not do enough on TV, or YouTube or anything of that nature, is that they don't talk about washing your hands enough. That is how you keep people from getting sick. Okay, so this I'm just going to loosely chop it, cut that tip off, that tail, sorry, the root part. I'm just roughly chopping this up. This is for home. This is not cooking competition. Knife cuts do not matter. Don't worry about it. Be easy on yourself. Anthony Bourdain is dead. He's not going to come into your kitchen and bless you out because of your knife cuts. Gordon Ramsay doesn't, even though he's made a lot of money, trust me, if you ever tasted his food, it's not really worth him yelling and screaming over. He should have spent a few more years in culinary school. I'm just saying, nobody's coming into your house. Anybody comes into your house complains, they don't have a right to do that. So you do it the way you like to. That's a rough chop. That's what I call a rough chop. We're going to go ahead and get this going, and I'll show you the rest of the process. Oh, you might notice that there's no cutting boards. I'm using plates, Walmart plates. I do own cutting boards. I hate cleaning them. They're a pain in the butt. I learned this trick from my wife. Walmart sells these for like 50 cents, something like that, and she's like, they're perfect for cutting on. Then you can throw them away if you don't like it, or you can put them in the dishwasher and use them again. And I like that. The versatility of these little cheap plastic plates have been wonderful. I use them for everything. All right, I got a little neutral oil in my pot here. I'm going to let this get nice and hot, and then we'll add in the other ingredients. All right, it is hard to show, but the oil is shimmering and almost about to start smoking, so I'm going to add in my meat and aromatics. Cook this until the meat is brown. Alright, this right here is a pound of firm tofu. This is some bamboo shoots, roughly 8 ounces. And this right here is a 14-ounce can of bean sprouts. So what I'm going to do is drain all this, and then I'm going to chop up these into matchsticks, and then I'm going to take this and chop this up into little finger cubes. So I'll probably cut this in half and then cut across and make little cubes out of this. Then we'll add all this to our soup. Alright, I got 5 pounds of cooking broth that I'm going to, it's chicken broth. Great value, nothing special, and that's what we're going to add to our fried meats and aromatics. We're going to add in our can of mung bean sprouts. If you had fresh mung beans, you could use those as well. This is rinsed and drained very well. Now I've got my tofu and bamboo. You could leave the bamboo and not do it as matchsticks, because that's pain and patootie to do. Alright, so this right here is balsamic vinegar, and we got rice vinegar. I'm going to do 1/3 rice vinegar, 1/3 cup rice vinegar, 1/3 cup balsamic vinegar. Alright, this is some Thai soy sauce, Happy Boy soy sauce, and some oyster sauce. I'm going to do 1/3 of a cup each. This right here is a teaspoon of hot Hungarian paprika. You can use cayenne, you can use sriracha, whatever you like. That is just my heat source of preference. Alright, I'm adding in about a teaspoon of sesame oil. can add a little bit more, a little less, whatever you like. Next, we're adding in our mushrooms. All right, this is going to need about 2 to 3, if not 4 teaspoons of white pepper. The soup gets its punch from the white pepper, so the more you add, the better off you are. All right, so that's roughly about, I would say, 3 teaspoons or a tablespoon of white pepper. I tasted this. It needs some more rice wine vinegar. That was about 3 tablespoons I added of the rice wine vinegar. I'm going to add in about a tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons of Shaoxing cooking wine. It needs some salt, and we're going to put in about a teaspoon of MSG. I'm going to let this kind of sit and simmer for a while. The longer it simmers, the better it is, but my God, does it taste so good right now. Alright, it's been simmering away now for close to an hour. We're going to take a little bit of the liquid out and add in some cornstarch slurry to thicken it up. This is a bowl of liquid, I don't know, maybe a half cup, cup and a half. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator cool just a little bit as this simmers. I like to use the liquid rather than water it down with some water to make my slurry, but this is way too hot to make a slurry. Okay, so what we're going to do is crack some eggs. I'm going to do 4 eggs into a measuring cup because I want to have something I can pour out of. And that is the easiest way that I pour and film. Whenever you're doing any type of whipping of eggs, take your fork and break the yolks first. That's critical. And then we're going to whip these up really good. And then that way when we get ready to stir, they're ready to go. This is chilled down, put in an ice box. You could use water. There's no reason why you can't use water. I just don't like to dilute down flavors unless I have to. So if you're a home cook and you want to use cold water, I do not mind one bit. Mainly because I'm not eating it. It's your meal. You can do what you want. About 2 good spoonfuls. I'm just going to work this in. You don't want to use hot fluids because cornstarch does not dissolve well in hot stuff unless you make a slurry first. It's what they call a Newtonian fluid. And so it'll clump up because I'm adding force, and then as soon as I let go, it won't. Alright, so we got a good starch slurry going. That will thicken up just a little bit. Don't thicken up a lot. It'll thicken up a pretty good bit. Give a little bit better mouthfeel to our soup. It's not required, but definitely makes it have a more unctuousness to it. So let's go put this in soup. Get that little clump out. Alright, now this is heating up. We're going to add in our starch solution. Now, next thing I'm going to do is swirl this and pour in my eggs. Let them sit for a minute. And then swirl. Let it sit for a minute. And then I'll swirl. Okay. And now I'm going to let this sit and cook for a little bit. You gotta cook all the way through. Here we go, got some scallions on top. Looks wonderful. Let's give this a shot. Hot. Hot, hot, hot. Sour. Got some heat to it. Got all those wonderful ingredients. Here's some tofu. Get a little bit of that mushroom in there. Wild foraged mushrooms. Can't beat it. Very hot though. That's what you want, especially on a cold night, rainy night. It's been raining a lot here. This is fantastic. Everything you want. I just love this stuff. You do too. Try this out. Adjust for seasoning the way you want to. This is your soup. So if you like something I like mine a little bit more sour. If you want it a little sweeter, you can add a little bit of sweet to it. If you want to add some more pepper, you can add pepper to it, but it's hitting on all notes. If you will, please like, share, comment, subscribe. All that really does help out. And I'll see y'all guys again next time. Bye.